everyone, Sheik here with an unboxing slash review. This is just some merged into one. But this right here, assuming they didn't jip me or do me wrong in any way, shape, or form, should be the Studio Series, not officially, but everyone calls it 86 Megatron. And I've been waiting on him for quite some time. I think I pre-ordered him. Well, no, I didn't pre-order him right away because I wasn't able to because I think I was on deployment at the time. Anyway, but I was really wanting to pre-order him, and then I got lucky and managed to pre-order him on Walmart because it was like pre-order was sold out like everywhere else. And yeah, he finally arrived today. He's supposed to arrive yesterday, but for whatever reason, I guess they weren't able to get around to my house before FedEx was done for the day. They were, said it was out on at 7 in the morning, but I guess he didn't get around to it. But also, to be fair, yesterday was Labor Day, at least at the time of recording of this video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this opened up and hope that I haven't been scammed or whatever by Walmart, or maybe someone that they sell with. Speaking of Walmart, my Walmart, I've heard people talking about like their Walmart's getting the newer Transformers and stuff. Mine still has the Transformers 1 stuff. Nothing new. The only thing that isn't Transformers 1 is like an older Studio Series 86 Brawn, if I remember correctly. And that's like the only thing there. It's in a beat up box, but then that's why I have to resort to getting stuff online, because like none of the stores, I take that back. My Target has had a couple of the new stuff, which I'll try to get around to when I get the chance. But like I said in my other video, I have a big old backlog of stuff to get through. So let's see. Oh yeah, and I didn't even know that the orientation was going to be proper on this, but man, that's perfect timing, perfect orientation. And here we have Megatron in all his Megatron-y glory. Transformers Studio Series, no 86, but I'll probably put him in my Studio Series 86 playlist anyway. He transforms in 54 steps from robot to tank, ages 8 and up. On the side of the box, you just have his arm, because I guess that's the other part of him. Leader class, like I said, 54 steps. And there is a little handgun that looks like it's probably supposed to be Soundwave's arm, but I'm not certain because that yellow and red on the shoulder. I really don't know. I don't know whose arm that's really supposed to be. But he does come with a couple of accessories. He does come with that Energon sword and a miniature version of his gun mode, which I wish they had done it. Well, actually, it looks like it does have the scope, but it just... it could have given it the butt stock, but whatever. It's not the end of the world. But I'm sure a third party will make some. Like, I mean, there's already been people that make 3D printed handle grips to go in the tank mode to do it from, like, I think it's Skybound. I really need to read those comics, but anyway, let's get them out of the box. I'm so excited to share my thoughts with him about him and all that, that I haven't even bothered to transform him yet. I know that's an important part of a review. I will get to that eventually, but he is so cool. I will admit the fusion cannon isn't perfect. It's not my favorite, but it does look pretty cool. And I do like the way the barrel goes up on there. Obviously, it is parts forming, like he's a bit of a parts former as far as the barrel. But then again, most tank former Megatrons do involve parts forming as far as the barrel of the tank mode is concerned. And what I love so much about this design, so much, is that the only thing that gives away his tank mode outright is the treads right here, and then the little bit of tread on the sides right there on his heel. Like everywhere else, pretty much almost every other angle, he just looks like his G1 self. I do like the paint apps on this guy. His torso, the side with the red. It's just so cool. That nice Decepticon emblem right there. His head looks pretty good. I do like that head sculpt. I really do. I like the colors and all that. But I will say my biggest gripe with it is the facial expression. It doesn't look quite crazed enough as he did in the movie. Sure, it's good for a regular, I don't know, stoic Megatron pose, but when he's like in the heat of it with Prime, that's not how his face normally looks. So in that instance, I'd say they could have done better on that part. But again, third party. I'm sure they're going to come around with faces, better fusion cannon, and the little gun that he used to finish off Optimus with. And speaking of his accessories, and I guess Optimus as well, this is the little gun he comes with. It is absolutely pitiful, but I will say that third party will probably also come out with another one that looks a bit better than this. Like, I mean, the ones that come with the reissue G1 Starscream and stuff looks more like G1 Megatron than this. But don't get me wrong, those things are actually really cool. They actually do a good job. And there is the sword, which looks pretty cool. I will say I wish they had just done the whole hilt completely rounded. I will say the only thing that I don't like about the sword is that you have to pop it into his hand. You can't just slide it in by taking off the top. You just clip it in. But that means he holds it really well. And his fingers are articulated, similar to Prime's. Although it's not quite the same, it's a little more simplified, and he does have pins running through the hands, so that is very much appreciated. So, but like I said, the only thing is snapping in and out makes me afraid that I'm gonna break his thumb off at some point. Not that it's that hard to put in, but his thumb is pretty thin. And then I guess we can just go ahead and make him, I don't know, hold himself or something. And I just mushroom pegged off his wrist, I guess. Like I said, I haven't transformed him yet, so I don't know all the ins and outs about him. Then articulation, one thing I did notice is that he does have butterfly joints right here. I'm sure part of it is more for transformation, but that is still really nice to have. Head is on a ball joint, can look up and down, gets a little bit wibbly wobbly. Head can do a full 360. Arms go out that far, it's pretty stiff, and it is pinned in. They can do a full 360. I'm assuming this is also pinned in at the shoulder. Bicep rotation, nice and stiff. It is a mushroom peg, though. He does get a little over 9 degree bend at the elbow. Wrist rotation, and like I said, the hands are articulated in 2 separate sections. There is no ab crunch or anything like that, but he does have a waist swivel, and it's pretty nice there. He does have a pretty thin profile, which is also pretty nice. The flaps can, only the sides flaps go out. He doesn't really have the butt flaps, but they kind of gets it with that molded in. Legs can go forward that far, so he can kick pretty far forward. That's pretty nice. He can go back that far. Has a nice stiff thigh rotation. Over 9 degree bend at the knee. And then he has a decent amount of ankle tiltage, pretty much gets it flat. But I have a feeling that's also part of transformation because he has like 50 something steps. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of them can be merged where it's like they didn't really need to be split up, as they sometimes like to do when they like to boast lots of steps. Anyway, that's about it for articulation. So I definitely need to go ahead and see about transforming. But first, we shall do a couple of comparisons. So here we have him with Commander Class Optimus Prime, and they look really cool together. I'm gushing, I am gushing, because like I said in a previous review, or no, I don't know if it's come out yet. I might have to push that up actually, but I do have the New Age Romulus, which was made to scale with Kingdom Optimus Prime, but these two, let's go ahead and just get him straightened up just so that he can, fit a little bit better. But they are about the same height. I know some people were complaining that, Megatron's supposed to be made slightly taller than Prime, but I think that this is a really good height comparison. I really dig it. Now, because I'm a little bit lazy and don't feel like transforming my cartoon style Romulus, I will bring out the toy deco version, which is really cool, by the way. I love them both. I like the toy look anyway, but watch that review if you want to see that. But he is really nice and cool. So ignore the toy type details, but like the fusion cannon, is, as you can see, a bit more, it's supposed to encompass more of his forearm, but I have a feeling I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the design choices of his fusion cannon have to do with him transforming into a tank. It would not surprise me, and I understand that sometimes when you have to do engineering, sometimes you have to sacrifice stuff. If they had to sacrifice anything on this guy, I'd rather it be on the fusion cannon than the robot mode itself, because you can always get a third-party alternative at some point rather than something big that you can't really fix with the robot mode. But yeah, and also this looks like maybe they have you put it on the wrong way, because this one has it, or maybe somehow this popped off and I put it on wrong, but whatever. It seems to be a little bit off, but one way to easily rectify that would be to just, pop this off and then pop it back on, because the instructions said to have it the other way. But you can have it either way, so it's up to you. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the past it's been animated both ways, so up to you if you want to follow the instructions or have it however you think it looks best. He does have weapon storage in robot mode. It's supposed to tab in right in there, and the sword plugs in right there, and there you have weapon storage. Turns out I was right about the way the fusion cannon is shaped. It does have to do with transformation, because this back part of the fusion cannon goes in here, and obviously if it was bigger like it should be, it wouldn't fit quite right. And like I said, I'd rather fiddle with the engineering for the gun rather than more negatively impact the robot mode. One other thing that I think I noticed is I think this gun barrel is slightly a little bit smaller than it should be, but it's not that noticeable. It's not too bad. And then also one thing that I did notice about some of the panels and stuff that they did not have to do, since it's almost always it's gonna be closed up, but like just the molded in detail of like panels and stuff, like that's just so cool. And then in the chest, I don't remember if there is a whole lot of stuff, but there is some stuff in there. Like that's where his head goes for tank mode. But you could probably put some stuff in there, like to reenact some of the G1 cartoon episodes. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. So I guess time for tank mode. So here we have Megatron in his tank mode. I absolutely love this transformation. I will say there is a couple of things that I really don't like about the transformation, but I still think overall it's very enjoyable. The trickiest part to me is getting the chest part to line up properly with the tread pieces, but oh man, this is, I'd say, a fairly solid tank mode. I know that some people were giving it a lot of grief because it does look a little odd, especially when you consider where the turret rotates, but believe me, this is not the worst Transformer tank mode that I've seen of Transformers that are supposed to turn into tanks. And he does a pretty good job considering he's not even originally supposed to turn into a tank. So I think this is really cool, given all that. I will say the biggest drawback, other than the turret rotation place, is that there is a pretty sizable gap in there, but it's not too noticeable from the front. And from the side, this actually looks pretty cool. I know that there's some fan-made tank modes. I might test a couple of them out myself, but I think it still looks pretty solid as it is, like this. And I suppose you could tilt it up ever so slightly, but not really. But like I said, you can rotate it around. I will say, I think the niftiest thing about this guy is just how the legs unfold into these treads. I know that it's, you know, faux treads, none of this actually spins, these are just fake, but it looks so cool. It's hard to believe that he goes from Megatron, it looks like he should turn into a gun for the most part, into a somewhat convincing tank. If anything, it makes me think of the concept art that I saw of this episode in G1 where Megatron was supposed to at one point turn into a jet because he took all the powers of his troops, so they're going to give him a jet mode. And I feel like this is a similar thing, but if instead of a jet, it was a tank. And I just think that this looks so cool. But like as I was saying though, I love these hinges right here for the shoulders. That's what gives him the butterfly joints, and that's where all this sits into. And like I was saying, is if this was the way it was, the way it looks like it should be, this wouldn't fit in there properly. I'm sure they could have probably engineered something different, but I think they did a pretty good job considering what their goal was, to make a convincing looking robot mode for G1 Megatron. But obviously they can't do the handgun mode, but it rolls relatively well. And of course, for comparison, we'll bring in Optimus Prime, and they actually look pretty cool together in their alt modes. I must say though that I know people are like saying he should be a handgun, not a tank, and I honestly, for the most part, am one of those people, because that's what he was in the G1 cartoon, so that's what he should be. But I will say, these other people that say like he should have been a tank do have a point. This makes more sense to me as far as good guy, bad guy, meeting on the battlefield. It makes more sense for the big bad guy to be a tank than to be a handgun that has to be wielded by someone else. But like I said, there is a coolness factor of the 80s handgun toy. I just love that so much. But I will say that this makes more sense to me from, you know, meeting on the battlefield. And then, you know, Optimus transforms, maybe Megatron fires a couple shots before he transforms, and, you know, then they get into their mortal battles and all that. So yeah, I think that they did a pretty good job with this. And I will do a couple more comparisons because I feel like I need to. As I was saying, tank modes that are meant to be a tank from the get-go. This guy, Quake, if I remember his name correctly, Quake. His turret, it's like you can't even turn it all the way around. Like, it just lifts up, and unless it's straight ahead, and you can't keep it flat. Whereas Megatron, even though it is really weird, he can do a full 360. Whereas this guy can sort of, but it just looks so weird. Like, when a non-tank transformer can tank better than you, you know you've kind of failed as a transformer. Don't get me wrong, I do like Quake. He's actually pretty cool. More so in his robot mode. But yeah, that's enough about that. And of course, the other comparison, it wouldn't be without it, is the Romulus. New Age Romulus in the handgun configuration. Obviously, this one doesn't come with the butt stock or the silencer that goes on the front, but then again, neither does he, obviously, because, you know, he turns into a tank. And I guess one more thing I should do is there is storage for his 1 weapons in tank mode. Obviously, you can put them pretty much wherever there is a 5mm port, but let's just say put it on side of the treads or tank, because, and then maybe put Megatron up there, because, you know, on some tanks there's like a little machine gun that someone else can man or whatever, so I suppose you could get away with it being like a secondary tank gun. So yeah. Oh boy, this guy is so cool, so amazing. I know I gushed about him a lot. I will point out a couple more things that I didn't like. Transforming from tank to robot, getting the panels open to flip in the ends of the treads where it goes behind his knees is a bit of a pain, and then also getting the butterfly joints to go back in is quite frustrating. But overall, all in all, I'd say he's a great figure, worth the price. And if you want a commander class size or masterpiece size Megatron that turns into a gun, get MP36 or whatever Megatron, or get one of the multitudes of third-party figures. If you want him as a gun, you can get him as a gun. But this guy is super cool, and if you like this review and you'd like to see more, please click that like and subscribe button to see more. Until next time, have a good one, everyone.